Ponytown is full of all kinds of rules in the game that you have to follow, or else you suffer the consequences of potentially being banned or suspended for some amount of time. These rules are as follows, and they're actually on the main menu. And the reason why I want to share this is because despite the fact that they're on the main menu right below the play button, there seems to be a lot of people that just don't know the rules or don't understand why the rules are in place and why they are how they are. But the rules are as follows. If you're on the 18 plus server, adult topics are allowed, and you agree and confirm that you are over 18 and take no issues with seeing adult topics. This is extremely important, and you have to be an adult. You have to be 18 or older to play the 18 plus server. If you are not 18 or older when you're playing on the 18 plus server and someone finds out your age, or if something happens and Ponytown themselves realize that there's a underage player on the 18 plus server, you can potentially get suspended or banned from the game. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll just put a thing on your account that basically restricts you from being able to go on the 18 plus server, but a lot of the times you will just straight up get banned or suspended from the game. Now, if you're on the safe server, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how old you are. Of course, it's a little bit weird if you're extremely old, obviously, but if you're on the safe server, it's completely allowed, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, adult topics are never allowed on the safe server, and again, if the developers or someone finds you talking about adult topics or doing adult things or something like that, you could potentially get banned or suspended. And I don't think I have to explain why that's so important, because if you're an adult or a kid and you're doing adult topics, they just don't mix. They just don't mix. And trust me when I say this, if you're a kid and you just want to go on that 18 plus server, if you really, really badly, just so badly want to see what these adult topics are and everything like that, trust me when I say you don't. It's not just a place where you can curse and cuss and things like that. It's just all adult topics. And trust me when I say this, you're not going to be interested in it, or at least not that interested in it, and it's going to be bad for you. It's going to be bad for everyone really involved. So just don't go on there unless you're 18 or older. The next rule is just some general rules, which is to be kind to others. Obviously, you don't want to be mean to others, harass other players, etc., etc., and if you're doing those things, you can get banned or suspended. Don't spam. This is extremely important as well. The game kind of has built-in stuff for it too, so if you just spam, you could just eventually just get kicked from the server automatically, but in some cases it just won't even let you send the message after so long. So there's just kind of built-in stuff for spam, but you're not allowed to spam. And what that means is you're not allowed to send the same kind of message over and over and over and over and over and over again. You're not allowed to spam party invites to a player. You're not allowed to spam friend requests to players. It's stuff like that, basically. Just you can't send a bunch of the same thing over and over and over again, and that is just not allowed because it's really annoying and it's bad for the game. The next rule, and this is one of the most broken rules in the game besides the kids being on the 18 plus server, and that is don't create more than one account. Do not create more than one account. I see it all the time. I literally saw it on the Reddit not too long ago of someone being like, what happened to my account? I don't understand. I even tried to go on my alt account and it didn't work, and it's like, well, that's probably what happened to your account. You broke the rules. You made more than one account. You said in the post itself that you had an alt account. I see it all the time. People will even message me and be like, what happened? Why did I get banned or something like that? I don't understand. Even my alt account isn't working or something like that. And I'm like, well, you broke the rules right there. You literally told me you broke the rules. You made more than one account. An alternate account is a second account. It's more than one account, and so you broke the rules, and of course they're gonna ban you or suspend you, and they're more than allowed to do so. Now, this is in place because it can get past all the bans and stuff like that. So if you do get banned or kicked or whatever else like that, you can always just create another account, and that is why this rule is in place, so you don't make more than one account and get past that. You don't just bypass that. It's also in place so that you don't create a second account just to be an asshole to people, or just to do these risky rule-breaking things like doing adult topics on the safe server, or being mean to others, or spamming, etc., etc. It's in place so that you don't use it as a means to be able to break more rules and bypass bans and suspensions and things like that. The next thing is no hacks, scripts, macros, or auto clickers. This basically just means don't use them. Don't use hacks that abuse the game or like affect the game somehow. Maybe you have some kind of hack that just increases your clover count or something like that. That's not allowed. Maybe you have some kind of script that you can inject in the game and boom, your clover count or pearl count goes way up or something like that. That's not allowed. Macros and auto clickers, of course, auto clickers being in place so that you don't just abuse things like clover spawning, pearl spawning, other things like that. Plus eventually when mini games get added, there'll probably be a lot more auto clickers when mini games eventually get added, to be honest, because that will be a way to kind of cheat the games and stuff. Probably. But these things are just obviously not allowed. You can't have them. You can't use them in Ponytown. Now, of course, you're not allowed to encourage behavior violating the rules. This is obvious. Obviously, you don't want to encourage other people to break the rules. You don't want to encourage that underage person to go on the 18+ server. You don't want to encourage that random person to be mean to others. You don't want to encourage someone to just start spamming for no reason. You don't want to encourage people to create multiple accounts. You don't want to encourage people to use their hacks or scripts or whatever. Actually, speaking of the hacks and scripts for a second, there was actually one not too long ago, and there was like a YouTube video about it and everything like that, and there was like I think in the description, like you could like buy the hack or something, and what it did is you could just literally just steal someone's OC. All you had to do is like click on them, and then it just gave you the option to just literally steal their character, and it just created a perfect copy of them, and it was a whole thing. I wonder whatever happened to that. Honestly, it might still be out there. I really hope it's not, but that is another one of those hacks or scripts or whatever that's there and everything. But anyway, the last thing on their list of general rules here is that violation of any of the rules may result in temporary or permanent ban. That is pretty much all of the rules, of course. Now, there's some other things too. If you want to hear a little bit more about like why auto clickers are not allowed or whatever, you can go to the help page and scroll down, and it will kind of tell you about it here later. Why can't I create more than one account is one of them that explains. It's in place to protect you and the game itself from other players in the game. Allowing more than one account for a single person invalidates and ignores the hide system. Yeah, that's one thing that I didn't even think about. If it allows you to just ignore and hide other players that are harassing or bothering you in any way. It also invalidates the mute and ban system. Again, like I mentioned, you can just basically just bypass it completely. It's in place to protect you from other players breaking the game rules to bother or harass others, and allowing use of more than one account at the same time would dramatically increase load on the server and potentially make the game unplayable and laggy for everyone else. So if you have multiple accounts, it can kind of ruin the experience for other people because it's just more load on the server. That's another thing that I forgot to mention with it as well. The increased amount of players in the game would also reduce rendering performance on slower computers, especially on mobile devices, to the point where a lot of players wouldn't be able to play the game anymore. Use of more than one account also invalidates any limits, like character limit, that we put on those accounts. The limits are in place to prevent large amounts of players that we have at the moment from exhausting our limited server resources. That's one of the things that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to games. There's servers, and these servers can only hold so much information on them. And so if you have a lot of extra information put on them with these accounts, with like 200 extra characters that are literally just there to bypass limits and stuff, the limits are in place because of that reason, and that is the reasons why you shouldn't have more than one account. This also just explains like why you can't modify the game with hacks and stuff like that. It's pretty obvious like why you shouldn't be able to do that. And of course, the auto clickers are commonly used to gain an unfair advantage over players who don't use them, and they can also be used to bypass certain game features. These uses are not allowed. That is why you can't use macros or auto clickers. Using macros and auto clickers strictly for accessibility reasons is allowed, however, so if you have some kind of accessibility that you need it for, I guess that would be allowed. But of course, I just would try to avoid it as much as possible, because if they see that you're using it somehow, they might still ban you, and then you'll have to go through the process of basically explaining that it was for an accessibility reason, and it would be a whole thing. So those are kind of the main rules and why they're in place. Honestly, I recommend just coming on here and looking at the help page and just reading this stuff for yourself. They're in place for a reason, and those are the reasons why they're in place. Now, if you find anyone violating these rules, you can go to the help page and you can see their email right here, ponytownhelp@gmail.com. Copy that, get that, and that is who you email to report players. You'll have to basically hide them. So you'll have to go in game, you'll have to hide the player, and then you'll have to go to your account settings and then scroll down to the people that you've hidden, screenshot who the person was that you hid, and then show and also get your account ID here and include all of that stuff in your email, explain what that person did and why they're like, oh no, man, like they did this and this or whatever. Just explain what happened and then include that in your email, etc. And then you will be able to hopefully get that person banned or kicked or whatever. But yeah, that is pretty much all I have to say. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and doing all of those wonderful things like that. Because when you do wonderful things like that, not only do you get access to wonderful content such as this, but you also get to become wonderful yourself. And I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things. And until next time, stay wonderful.